Turn with me to Luke chapter number 17. The same story is told in Matthew. Luke chapter 17. Jesus speaking, he said to the disciples, "It is inevitable that stumbling blocks come, but woe to him through whom they come. It would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he was thrown into the sea than one would cause one of these little ones to stumble." In other words, don't trip up your kids. Don't provoke them. Don't trip them up. Don't cause them to stumble. You say, well, how do we do that? I read only this week about the situation that Disney has. It seems that a group of New York sophisticates were taking their kids to Disney down in Orlando, and they found a way to beat the long lines. They would hire somebody who was handicapped to lead their children in. They'd go to the head of the line, and one New York society woman boasted, said everybody else stood 2.5 hours to get in It's a Small World, but my kids, led by that handicapped person, they were in a minute and a half. They just blitzed Disney, and they were bragging about it. Another man was talking about he did the same thing. He got a doctor to write out a prescription and said his son was HDDD. I think all of us are that anyway. And therefore, they put him at the head of the line. See, they broke the system. You say, well, what about that? You see what you're doing? You're tripping up your son and daughter. You're showing them how to take shortcuts by money, by prestige, by beating the system. And therefore, they get to college and they, oh, I can't believe you cheated on that test and you're thrown out of school. Dad, Mom, you don't have a leg to stand on. Any more than David had a leg to stand on in dealing with his son who's raped his daughter, because David had already been guilty of sleeping with someone who wasn't his wife. See what I'm saying? We cause our children to stumble. And sometimes they stumble so ingloriously it breaks your heart. Here's a letter written a few years back by a teenager. Dear folks, thank you for everything, but I'm going to Chicago and try to start some kind of new life. You asked me why I did those things and why I gave you so much trouble. The answer is easy for me to give to you, but I'm wondering if you will understand. Remember when I was 6 or 7 and I used to want you to just listen to me? I remember all the nice things you gave me for Christmas, my birthday. I was really happy with those things about a few days. At the time, I got the things, but the rest of the time during the year, I really didn't want presents. I just wanted all the time for you to listen to me like I was somebody who felt things too, because I remember even when I was young, I felt things, but you said you were too busy. Mom, you're a wonderful cook. You have everything so clean that you tried so much from doing all those things that make you busy. But you know something, Mom? I would have liked crackers and peanut butter just as well if you'd only sat down with me a while during the day and said to me, tell me all about it so maybe I can help you understand. I think all the kids who are doing so many things that grown-ups are tearing their hair out worrying about are really looking for somebody who'll have time to listen a few minutes and who really will treat them as they would a grown-up who might be useful to them and, you know, polite to them. If you folks ever said to me, pardon me, when you interrupted me, I would have dropped dead. If anybody asks you where I am, tell them I've gone looking for somebody with time because I've got a lot of things I want to talk about. Love to all. He signed it, your son. See, our kids, we trip them up. I remember going to a school play some years back, and a little guy in the play had a part, you know, about a minute and a half. He did his thing. And after the play was over, that little guy came storming behind the stage. I happened to see him, and he just ran out there to his daddy. You know, to him, he just played Hamlet on Broadway. You know, he was just thrilled to death. And he ran out there, and he grabbed his daddy, wanted to say, you know, what a good job he done. I'm proud of you, son. His dad said, I can't talk to you now. I'm talking to Mr. Smithson. So he pushed him to one side, and you could see that little guy. He just goes off He's brokenhearted. Parents, wake up. Be sensitive to your kids. Don't cause them to trip. Don't cause them to trip, to stumble. It's better that Jesus said a millstone be hung around the neck of somebody who trips up a kid. In our society, when we tolerate pedophilia, I don't understand it. Look what Jesus says, how deadly it is. Our kids, we build them up. Jesus said, let them come to me. Oh, no, the disciples said. Oh, no, you're talking to a lot of big, important people. He said, I don't care about them. Suffer little children to come to me. He said, unless you have the humility of a child like that, you'll never get to heaven yourself. How important. Jesus elevated children. Elevated children.